terms of like, there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
the
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one. It's rough.
Sunny Hostin just found out the hard way that trying Tim Dillon is like bringing a butter knife to a bazooka fight. 1 minute she's sipping tea on The View. The next she's questioning all her life choices as Dillon unleashes pure comedic napalm. What did he say that left her blinking in Morse code and Googling how to recover from public humiliation? Stick around. This meltdown makes Chernobyl look like a sparkler.
Yeah. Can I suggest a thing for The View? This is a suggestion I have. Men.
No chance.
Just men on the show.
But women watch it. See, that's the thing. It's like, it's a lot of it is women that are home, right, during that time. It airs during the day.
What if we put the women in the audience and let the men discuss the issues? This is just an idea I have for ABC, corporate.
Well, clearly.
Or have one woman serve everyone drinks and give her a quick opinion. Quick, in and out. Just
and
go like.
The guys go, ah.
Just go. She walks in, she goes, yeah, Israel seems like it's a go. Thanks. And then they keep going. I think that's a happy medium.
Sunny Hostin had another meltdown. Shocking, I know. But this wasn't your typical daytime TV hissy fit. This one came with extra tears, a bruised ego, and a hefty dose of public humiliation. All courtesy of Tim Dillon, America's favorite unapologetically chaotic truth cannon. Let's be real. The View is basically the televised version of a group chat that should have stayed on mute. It's like throwing 5 malfunctioning GPS systems into a room and asking them to solve world politics. And Sunny? She's the one insisting the earth is flat because the curve hurts her feelings.
The episode where Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said.
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
And there's versions of it. Like,
Yes.
then the other one with Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah.
Where, what did Sharon, she said something racially insensitive?
I think she said that she doesn't, like, I think she said, why is Pierce Morgan racist? I don't even think it was that bad.
She's friends with Pierce Morgan.
Truly grasp the drama. We need to unpack Sunny Hostin. Picture a cocktail of self-importance, selective outrage, and the smug confidence of someone who thinks owning a thesaurus qualifies them to run the UN. Sunny's entire brand is like a TED Talk, delivered by someone seething that the spotlight isn't theirs alone. She's got the energy of a student who did all the readings, and now resents anyone who didn't, except she still misunderstood every chapter, and somehow weaponized the index.
Why doesn't The View have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them... It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you'd go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of, yeah.
It's zero.
I agree. It should be all trans women.
Meanwhile, Tim couldn't care less. He was too busy bulldozing through their echo chamber with the grace of a caffeinated wrecking ball. His crime? Daring to point out that when your hot takes sound like a college freshman's Twitter rant, maybe it's time to retire the moral compass. At least until you've updated the firmware.
Grew up, daytime TV was about like seasonal cupcake recipes.
Yeah.
Why are we doing the Holocaust at 11 a.m.? It's 11 in the morning. Why are we doing the Holocaust? Calm down. Daytime TV is for people to get into the day. We don't need to be doing genocide early. Like, relax.
I heard you put the call in to get Whoopi out of there.
I did. Because I wanted her to take a time out and have a think. And I wanted her replaced with Roseanne. Bring back Roseanne,
Right.
who is Jewish.
Okay.
So we get Whoopi out.
Okay.
Take a chill pill. Read the Torah, whatever you have to do. Go to a few bagel shops. And then bring Roseanne in, who's criminally insane, but Jewish and fun.
So we fixed the...
And it wasn't just Sunny melting down. The whole table reacted like someone lit a match. In a room filled with hairspray, Whoopi gave her signature. I'm so tired of all of you face. Joy Behar looked like she was rethinking every life choice that led her there, and seriously regretting not calling in sick. Sarah Haynes, still doing her best impression of a confused houseplant.
But Sunny?
Sunny went full Shakespearean tragedy. Less daytime talk show co-host, more betrayed queen mourning a royal scandal. She clutched her pearls so hard, you could practically hear them filing a...
And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View. Because there's nothing worse than the...
She started lobbing the usual talking points. Something about accountability, media literacy, and the dangers of misinformation, which was hilarious, coming from a show that once seriously debated whether the moon landing was real. Let's not forget, this is the same program that treated Meghan McCain like a foreign policy expert and once tried to explain the Ukraine war with felt boards. But Tim had zero time for the theatrics. He came back with cold, unfiltered logic and a facial expression that basically said, "Are you people serious right now?" He roasted with facts and vibes, obliterating the sanctimony faster than you could say. Sunny, please calm down. Here's the thing. Sunny Hostin doesn't do well with unscripted confrontation. She thrives in echo chambers, where everyone nods politely as she explains the obvious. But throw a curveball like Tim Dillon into the mix. Someone who doesn't care about your credentials, your degree, or your color-coded binder of outrage. And the whole performance collapses, like a poorly built IKEA shelf during an earthquake.
But make no mistake, I mean, if I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, but if your attitude or your idea is that the population's going to get smarter, healthier, and more adept at problem solving, you're on crack.
The meltdown reached its glorious crescendo when Sunny, clearly flustered, attempted a last-ditch high-ground maneuver. You know, the classic, we're just trying to make the world a better place angle. As if The View isn't a glorified morning bicker fest that regularly misinforms its audience and still botches basic facts like it's a sport. She tried to summon moral superiority, but Tim Dillon hit her with a reality check so hard, she spiraled into the verbal equivalent of a glitching PowerPoint presentation. Words were said, points were lost, and somewhere in the distance, a Harvard law diploma quietly wept. It was like watching someone try to deflect bullets with a framed degree and good intentions. And poor Tim, he was clearly having the time of his life, like being invited to a wine tasting, only to realize it's actually a roast. He didn't just humiliate Sunny. He basically audited the entire show. He exposed The View for what it's quietly become, not a celebration of diverse voices, but a chaotic competition to see who can be the most outraged. Before the next commercial break.
Hey, Megan, I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing.
Seriously, there's more intellectual honesty in a bar fight than in a segment of The View. At least drunks admit when they're wrong. On this show, admitting you're wrong might as well be a fireable offense. And can we talk about how The View handles pushback? You'd think they were allergic to differing opinions. The moment someone challenges the groupthink, alarms go off. Whoopi starts mumbling like she's casting an ancient curse, and Sunny flails her hands, like a traffic controller at JFK during a storm. The irony? Thick enough to spread on toast. A show that prides itself on multiple perspectives turns into a verbal gladiator arena. Anytime someone dares bring an actual brain to the table, the only acceptable views are the ones that perfectly fit their narrative. Everything else? Dismissed, shouted down, or, if you're lucky, politely scolded with a passive-aggressive smile.
America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect.
America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power, now more than ever. And I think we have to be very clear-eyed when we cover the president-elect. And Sunny's breakdown? It wasn't just about Tim Dillon. It was about reality crashing through the studio, like the Kool-Aid man of logic. It was about someone finally refusing to play along, with the delusion that The View is anything more than cable television's longest-running group therapy session. And the fallout? Oh, it was beautiful. X lit up like Christmas in Times Square. Memes rained down, edits of Sunny's stunned face, with captions like, "When you bring a binder to a flamethrower fight." Even The View's own audience seemed split, half clutching their pearls, the other half clutching their sides from laughter. There were even rumors Sunny tried to get the segment cut from reruns. Good luck with that. The internet already gift-wrapped the clip and delivered it to every group chat in America. It's immortal now, like Bigfoot, but with worse arguments. And the best part? Tim didn't even raise his voice. He didn't need to. Sunny's ego was so inflated, it popped all on its own. And let's be clear, this isn't about bullying. It's about accountability. When you posture as an intellectual heavyweight, but crumble under basic questioning, maybe it's time to stop booking yourself as the voice of reason. Maybe just be what you are. The voice of Wednesday morning arguments about nothing. Embrace your lane.
Boomers also have this very interesting victimhood complex. Like they're always aggrieved. And they're aggrieved like every time you're on the phone with one of them. Like, you know, like my aunt, for example, during COVID, she goes, "I hope everyone gets this vaccine because I'd like to do some traveling and I've worked my whole life." I'm like, everyone's worked their whole life.
Yeah.
Everyone's worked their whole Who hasn't worked their whole life? Like she goes, "I've worked my whole life." Like, I'm like, everyone's worked their whole life, you crazy. Like, of course they're fucking. But again, it was all about her. She's like, "I'd like to travel."
What about me?
What about?
Because what Tim Dillon did wasn't cruel. It was necessary. It was the comedy equivalent of pulling back the curtain and revealing that the wizard is actually just a woman who yells over everyone and misquotes legal theory like it's gospel. And now, of course, Sunny is playing the victim. The classic pivot. I was attacked. No, ma'am, you were questioned. And if that feels like an attack, maybe that says more about your arguments than it does about your guest. In the end, the only thing Tim Dillon humiliated was the illusion that The View is a serious platform for real discourse. He didn't attack Sunny. He just reminded everyone that talking loud and being right are not the same thing. One makes noise, the other makes sense. And Sunny, well, she can always fall back on her other career, professional pearl clutcher, because if this talk show gig doesn't work out, there's always a spot open on the next reality series, Delusion Island, where logic
It was started to View, and then they have all these ones. They like to talk.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just
profitable.
like, and then everyone gets like C-list and then D-list, and then they're like resurrecting sitcom stars from the 80s.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What do you think about Palestine?" It's like, what are we doing here?
Right.
We don't need any of these people's opinion.
You don't need a seat at their table when you own the whole damn restaurant. And Tim Dillon? He's running the kitchen, flipping the bird, and serving flaming hot takes straight from the oven of righteous indignation. Sunny, bless her buzzword-laden heart, decided once again to lecture the world from her fortress of moral superiority. You know, the one built from recycled hashtags, vague virtue signaling, and the unshakable belief that any dissent must be rooted in bigotry. Dillon, in a single online takedown, reminded her and everyone else that cable news and daytime panels are about as intellectually nourishing as a vending machine salad. And poor Sunny, oh, bless her heart. Her meltdown wasn't just a blip on the radar. It was a full-blown broadcast disaster, the kind that will echo through the archives of awkward television forever. Think of it as emotional Chernobyl, only with less fallout and more eye rolls. It now proudly sits beside other legendary View disasters, like that time they debated, straight-faced and passionately, whether gravity might be sexist. Yes, really. Spoiler alert. Gravity doesn't care about your gender or your feelings. It pulls everyone down equally, which, ironically, makes it far more inclusive than the panel itself. But let's be honest, logic was never formally invited to that round table. It probably submitted a resume once, got ghosted, and moved on to more productive environments like Reddit comment threads. So when Tim, in his usual calm and collected manner, pointed out that the view exists in an alternate reality, where volume substitutes for intelligence, and the loudest clapback gets the last word, regardless of factual accuracy. He wasn't being cruel. He wasn't even trying to be funny. He was doing the Lord's work. Someone had to say it. It was like watching a grown-up walk into a kindergarten mid-tantrum and gently remind everyone that yelling doesn't make you right. And Sunny? Well, let's just say she didn't take the sermon well. Because when your entire worldview is built on applause lines and feelings, facts tend to hit like a wrecking ball. So, here's your reminder. If you're going to come for a comedian who's made a career out of dropping unfiltered truth bombs and mocking the theater of cable news, you'd better bring more than talking points and Twitter clout. You'd better bring armor. Because once the facade cracks, no number of buzzwords can keep your ego from oozing out onto the studio floor in front of a live audience. As Sunny Hostin just learned the hard way, when the curtain falls, no script, no slogan, and no smug soundbite can stop the truth from shining through.